In a peaceful village between green hills and a gentle river lived Tom, a boy with a kind heart and a restless curiosity. Each day, Tom helped his parents in the garden and played by the river, but his mind wandered to the world beyond the hills. Inspired by his grandfather's tales of distant lands and magical places, Tom dreamed of adventure. The familiar comfort of his village only fueled his longing to explore. One day, Tom knew he would answer the quiet call of the unknown. One summer morning, Tom's longing for adventure became irresistible. After hearing the legend of the Sunstone hidden beyond the Whispering Woods, Tom decided to set out alone. He packed bread, water, a blanket, and his grandfather's map, slipping quietly from his home at dawn. The path ahead was uncertain, but Tom's excitement outweighed his fear. As he left the village behind, the wild sounds of nature welcomed him. The meadows faded into thick woods, and Tom felt himself stepping into a new chapter. The Whispering Woods awaited, and Tom was ready to become an explorer. Several days into his journey through the untamed woods, Tom finally arrived at the banks of the Grumbling River, a name that seemed almost too gentle for the wild torrent before him. The river roared and churned, its waters frothing white as they crashed over hidden rocks and twisted roots. The dense forest pressed close on either side, making the river feel even more formidable, as if nature itself was daring Tom to try and cross. The river stretched wide, its current swift and merciless, making it appear utterly uncrossable at first glance. The sound of the water was deafening, echoing through the trees and drowning out even Tom's own thoughts. He stood at the edge, feeling small and uncertain, the enormity of the challenge before him settling in. For a moment, doubt crept in, whispering that he might have come too far to turn back, yet not far enough to succeed. But then Tom remembered his grandfather's words, "Every challenge is a puzzle, waiting for the right mind to solve it." He took a deep breath, steadying himself, and began to search for a solution. Scanning the tangled banks, Tom's eyes caught sight of a fallen tree, its thick trunk bridging a narrower stretch of the river downstream. The log looked old and slick, but it was the only possible way across. Hope flickered in Tom's chest as he realized this might be his answer. Determined, Tom pushed through the dense undergrowth, thorns snagging at his clothes and branches whipping at his face. The ground was muddy and uneven, but he pressed on, finally reaching the moss-covered log. Water sprayed up from the river below, making the bark slick and treacherous. Heart pounding in his chest, Tom placed one foot carefully in front of the other, balancing with arms outstretched as he inched across the roaring water. Every step felt like a test of nerve and balance, the river's noise a constant reminder of what was at stake. Suddenly, his foot slipped on a patch of wet moss, and for a terrifying moment, Tom teetered above the rushing current. His heart leapt into his throat, but he managed to steady himself, gripping the log with trembling hands before carefully continuing forward. At last, after what felt like an eternity, Tom reached the far bank. Relief and pride surged through him as he stepped onto solid ground, the river's roar now behind him. He had faced the Grumbling River and conquered it, solving his first great puzzle and proving to himself that courage and determination could carry him through even the wildest challenges. Beyond the river, Tom entered Sunstone Valley, golden and beautiful, but shadowed by worry. The villagers' well had run dry, threatening their crops and homes. Hearing their plight, Tom volunteered to crawl into the narrow tunnels beneath the well. Lantern in hand, he squeezed through the darkness, finding a dam of rocks and roots blocking the spring. With determination, Tom cleared the debris, and water rushed back into the well. The villagers cheered, grateful for Tom's bravery and quick thinking. Tom had made new friends and brought hope to the valley. His journey was already changing lives. Grateful villagers sent Tom onward to the Crystal Mountains, where the path climbed steeply into a world of wonder. Quartz crystals glittered in the sun, scattering rainbows across the slopes. Tom camped among the sparkling stones, watching the sunset ignite the mountains in color. Under a sky full of stars, he felt awe and peace, realizing the world's beauty was greater than he'd ever imagined. The mountains offered not a challenge, but a gift, a reminder of nature's magic. Tom's spirit soared, filled with gratitude for the journey. He pressed on, eager for what lay ahead. Descending into a shadowed canyon, Tom felt the weight of silence pressing in from all sides. The air was cool and heavy, and every step echoed off the ancient stone walls, making him acutely aware of his solitude. Shadows stretched long and deep, swallowing the last rays of sunlight as he ventured further into the unknown. Each footfall seemed to carry him deeper into a place where fear and uncertainty lingered, testing his resolve. Suddenly a faint, desperate whimper broke the silence, a sound so fragile it almost vanished in the canyon's vastness. Tom's heart raced as he followed the noise, discovering a young wolf cub caught in an old rusted metal snare. The cub's eyes were wide with terror, its small body trembling as it struggled helplessly against the cruel trap. The sight was both heartbreaking and alarming, a stark reminder of the dangers lurking in the wild. Cautiously, Tom knelt beside the frightened animal, speaking in soft, reassuring tones. He reached into his pack and offered a scrap of bread, hoping to earn the cub's trust. The cub hesitated, then, driven by hunger and fear, accepted the food. Tom's hands shook slightly, not from fear of the animal, but from the gravity of the moment. He knew that any sudden movement could frighten the cub further or cause it more pain. While the cub ate, Tom carefully examined the trap. The metal was old and stubborn, but with patience and determination, he managed to pry it open. The cub whimpered as its injured leg was freed, but Tom worked gently, doing his best not to cause further harm. Sweat beaded on his brow as he focused all his energy on the delicate rescue, feeling the weight of responsibility for the creature's life. As soon as the trap released, Tom stepped back, giving the cub space. The little wolf limped away, pausing once to look back at its rescuer, before disappearing into the canyon's deepening shadows. Tom watched in silence, his heart pounding with relief and hope for the animal's survival. Standing alone in the fading light, Tom felt a profound sense of satisfaction. He hadn't found the sunstone he sought, but he realized that sometimes the journey offers unexpected challenges and rewards. In that moment, he understood that choosing compassion over fear was its own kind of victory. The simple act of kindness, helping a creature in need, became a treasure more valuable than any gem. Tom's heart swelled with gratitude for the chance to make a difference, however small, in the life of another being. In the darkness of the canyon, Tom discovered that true courage isn't just about facing danger or overcoming obstacles. It's about reaching out, even when you're afraid, and offering help to those who cannot help themselves. With the canyon behind him, Tom continued his quest, forever changed by the encounter. The memory of the cub's eyes and the feeling of doing what was right would guide him on the path ahead. Sometimes, the greatest tests we face are not of strength or skill, but of the heart, and it is in these moments that we discover who we truly are. Tom never found the sunstone, but he discovered something far more valuable on his journey. As he walked the long road home, the memories of his adventure played in his mind like a vivid tapestry. He realized that the true reward wasn't a legendary stone, but the growth he experienced and the connections he made along the way. He had crossed rushing rivers, braved steep mountain paths, and ventured through forests where the sunlight barely touched the ground. Along the way, he met people who needed help, villagers struggling with heavy loads, children lost in the woods, and elders who simply needed a kind word. Tom offered his hand, his strength, and his compassion, never expecting anything in return. Through these acts, Tom discovered the power of courage and kindness. Each challenge he faced taught him patience and resilience, and every person he helped left a mark on his heart. The gratitude in their eyes became his real treasure, more precious than any gem. When Tom finally returned home, he was greeted not just as a traveler, but as a hero. The villagers welcomed him with open arms, their faces beaming with joy and pride. There was laughter, music, and a sense of unity that filled the air. As Tom shared his stories by the fire, he spoke most passionately about the people he'd met and the lessons he'd learned. He described the moments of kindness, the friendships forged, and the strength found in helping others. His tales inspired everyone who listened, young and old alike. The real magic, Tom told his village, his voice steady and sincere, isn't found in ancient stones or distant lands. It lives in our actions, in the compassion we show, and in the kindness we share with one another. We don't need a sunstone to bring light into the world. We can be that light for each other, every single day. When we help, when we care, we create a brightness that never fades. Tom's journey had changed him forever. Though he returned without the sunstone, his heart was full of the richest treasure of all, the love, gratitude, and wisdom he gained by making a difference in the lives of others.